So here's the deal. I have to run a new cable, CAT cable, from over here up to here in the ceiling, over to that other extension, down under the desk, and I gotta run this Ethernet cable. Alright, so how I'm gonna do this? Alright, so the first thing is I ran this fish tape knowing that I would have to do this later. So this is something you can buy at hardware store, Home Depot, wherever. And I ran this through first. And I ran at least twice as much length as the length that I needed. Okay, so this is very important, being able to do this, because you need this first. And then, alright, and then I'm wrapping up the end of the Ethernet cord with some tape onto the fish tape. Okay, as you see here. Alright, I'm up on the ladder now. This is where the end of this pipe ends up, and here's the one of the other ends. So I'm going to start pulling on that as far as I can get it with one hand until it gets snagged. And now I have to go down below and unsnag it. Alright, I got it unsnagged, and this is a lot easier to do when you have two people. One from one side pulling and the other from the other side would be feeding it in so that it doesn't get snagged. But I'm by myself, so this is how it is. So we're on at the roof now, and can't really see it, but behind here there's another pipe that I got to feed it into. Alright, so here I am on the other end of that pipe. So what I'm doing here now is pulling on that just to the point where it starts to feed on the other side there. So I'm just pulling on that. Okay, now I gotta go back the other side again. That's why it's easier with two people. And this is the mess that happens when you start pulling, right? But that it might look messy, but it's actually not tangled. And there's the roll of CAT6 cable that I had already unraveled a little bit. So I have already a bunch coming through. However, it's a bit of a snag somewhere. So if you get a snag when you're doing this, don't keep reefing on it, because then there might be a kink or something. You might just ruin the cable at that point. So not a good idea. So the reason it wasn't coming through is because this and this have to be somewhat sort of loose and kind of together. So what was happening is this was short at the top here, but the CAT6 cable was very loose. This was taut and this was loose. That's why it wasn't coming through. So now it's going through. Alright, I got it through now, at least this part of the roof. So we're making some good headway. And I'm going to pull down probably about, not too much. I don't want it to tangle up on these other cables either. I'm just going to keep pulling until I have enough to go all the way down the wall. Alright, so I got enough going down now to basically reach the floor. I don't think I'm going to go any further. I might pull another foot or two. But on the other end here, see, we got it all nice and in here now. I'm going to just do a little more. Probably about another foot or two, just so I have some extra stuff. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of extra length of this fish string here. So what I'm going to do is go under the desk here, grab some light in the process. Okay, go under the desk. This is where one of my computers is, and I'm gonna pull on this here to get some tighten up, and you can see the other end here, so I even have some extra on this just in case. So we'll pull on that until I straighten up get some of the slack out. Alright, so what I've done, I got the slack out now. You can see up there. And so what I'm going to do is going to pull on both sides now that I actually have enough, well, arm's reach, I suppose, to fish this the rest of the way through now. And there we go. We have the other end of the cable down here. I can just pull the rest through by hand. There we go. So we got 3 cables in there now. And yeah, when I originally did this, I put tape around there because I didn't want to scrape the cables when they went by. So that was pretty important. Again, this is kind of sort of like a cheap man solution doing it, but it works rather than buying thousands of dollars of thick conduit. So there we go. Alright, so the only thing left to do now is basically just get this tape off here, put some ends on this CAT cable, and plug it in. And that goes to show you that a little pre-planning and you can save yourself a lot of time. Probably took me roughly 10 minutes to do all this. Probably a little longer because I'm holding a phone, but yeah, so there you have it. Okay, I'm just gonna wrap up the excess cable here and leave it on this side, because the next time I go to do this, I'm gonna start from this end rather than the other and then pull it through. So there's probably about 3 feet left on the other end that I can work with to attach it, that I can start pulling on anyways. So yeah, just do a little bit of pre-planning, and if you do that, you'll cut down on your time quite a bit. Alright, and this is part 2 of this. In case you wanted to know how to put ends on CAT cable. I mean, there's probably millions of videos out there already. But anyways, I'm just gonna cut the end off here. Probably right around here, because that's where it seems like there was a bit of a kink. Right, so I got the box out of the way, repositioned. So the tools you're gonna need are a pair of side cutters, okay? Very important for doing this kind of work. Some tool like this, which basically some sort of wire stripper. This one, I don't know where I bought it from, many years ago already. I've done probably thousands of cables, but anyways, this one has the correct notch for CAT6, CAT5 cable, etc. You need a crimper, okay? Something, doesn't matter what kind, as long as it can crimp CAT cables, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Again, I bought this a long time ago. And then I got my cheapy deepy tester from Home Depot that I also bought many years ago now. I don't know how many, but... And of course, cable ends. Now, there's a difference between CAT5 and CAT6 cable ends. They can work together, but generally if you're going to get CAT6 cable, get CAT6 ends, because they're just ever so slightly different. But these ones actually I think are CAT5, and I'm going to put them on the CAT6. They'll still go on, and just not as quite as easy. So let's see if I can do this while filming at the same time. Alright, so we got our cable end here. Okay. And I'm just going to get my tool here to take off the outer sheet. I usually take off about this much, roughly. And I'll go somewhere in there and just do a quick once around. And you can see the outer sheath comes off. Get rid of that, throw it in the garbage. Now CAT6 cable is harder to do than CAT5e because it's tighter cables and thicker. So this little strain relief, we're gonna cut that off because it's just gonna get in the way. Alright, get rid of the strain relief. And then there's a few ways to do this. I'm sure there's many people that are going to say not to do it this way or that way or whatever. Who cares? Just do whatever way that doesn't break the cable. So I usually just untwist the cables and I put them into pairs like this. So And then I just, for CAT6 cable, you have to be a little more thoughtful, because you got to get out these twists in the cable. And I just untwist it like that, get the kinks out. I try to keep the pairs together to start. Okay, I'll do that one a little more, and then the green ones. Okay, so I got these pairs mostly straightened out. Let me reposition myself for a second here. Okay, and the standard I usually go for is 568B. You can use A if you want. I just always been using B because I guess it's been used more by the phone companies, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Just pick a standard and go with it throughout the whole project, whatever it is you are. So if you're in a building and it has A, go with A. If you're in a building that has B, go with B. Don't mix and match. It just doesn't work very well in the end. Alright, so we got the first pair. I usually try to get these sort of where I want them in the end. Now, CAT6 cable, I gotta wrap it around here because it wants to fight me here. Okay, so we got, starts with light orange, and then it goes to orange, and I'm actually gonna go like that, just to get rid of that one twist out of there. And then what I usually do is go like this, try to get them together nice and tight. Okay, doesn't matter if the ends are, because I left lots of extra length. Okay, next pair is light green, and I'm going to wrap that one underneath because I don't want it twisting around the other ones. I go like this and kind of just get nice and flat. Okay, next one is not green, it's blue. So take the blue one, and that one's yeah, I'm going to take this one in the front. Depending on where you cut it, it'll depend whether you go in front or back. But anyways, got the blue one in here now, as you can see. Okay. And the next one is light blue. I'm going to take this one. I think I'm going to take this one behind, just so there's less of a twist. Okay, light blue. And I'm trying to get these as tight together as possible. If this was 5E, I would have already had it done. These ones are harder. Okay. Then we have green. Okay. And then we have light brown. Okay. Light brown, and then brown. Okay, so that's one end of the cable. I don't know if I can, something like that. Okay, maybe I'll get some light. There we go. Got some focus. Okay, all right. The phone's acting up. Anyways, so this is what you're basically left with. Now, I do have smaller hands than most people, so what I usually do is I grip it roughly, maybe just at the end of my fingernail there. Okay, so this is basically where I want to cut it at. And I've done so many of these that I intuitively know where to cut it at. So I'm going to cut it basically right here, and they're all still together. So I get my side cutters. Actually, no, I don't get my side cutters. Scratch that. I get my handy dandy crimper, and it's got cutters on it, and I just feed it through like that. And you don't want to go on this side, you want to go on this side. Okay, I just feed it through like that, just so the tip of my fingers is on, just so the tip of my finger is on the red part. And I snip it, and we have right about the right length here. Okay. It's important to keep your fingers together here. See if we can get focus again. Anyways, that's good enough. Okay, so when I go to put these on, I always put the bottom part of the connector downwards from facing me. So it's always facing away from me, the bottom of the connector, okay? We'll do so out here, and I just slide it in like that, okay? And give it a good push. And this one was just slightly too long. I could have taken some more off, so actually I'm going to do that. Take this off carefully, and don't want the wires to separate. And I also sometimes do a double check to make sure that the wires are in the right order. So I got light orange, orange, light green, blue, light blue, green, light brown, and brown. Okay, so I'm just going to take a tad more off of here. Like that, just taking a tad more off. And now let's try that connector again. This should work a little better. Okay, so the blue shield, as you can see, is because this is not a CAT6 connector, so it's just slightly off, but it does go in. And then you can look at the end here, and it's on. All right. So now I just take my crimper, and I go here like this. I gotta try to turn this around, and then I give it a good crimp like that, and the end is on. Okay. So do that on the other side. And I got the other side handy here already. Okay, same thing. Cut the shield off, or the sheath. Once around is good enough on CAT6. If it's CAT5e, you might have to go around 2 times. Okay, get rid of the strain relief. Like that. Separate these cables out. Untwist them. Some people, if you have fingernails, you can take your fingernail and slide through there. I don't have fingernails. Just like that. Okay. Next one. Brown. Just like The Simpsons. If it's brown, drink it down. If it's black, send it back. If there's any black cables in your CAT cable, I would say take it back to the store. Light brown. And this cable came out perfectly. I didn't have to do too much twisting. Okay. There you have it. It's nice and... See if I can get another shot here. There you go. Okay. Once you've done this for a while, it gets a lot easier, and I'm going to go back just a tad this time. Okay. Run it through here. Snip the ends off. Like that. Grab another end. Okay, let's double check. Yeah, they all look good. Connector is away from me or down. Slide it in. Yeah, looks okay. Crimp it down. Is it on? Better do that again. Didn't feel like it quite went. Okay, just like that. And then we have 2 ends of the cable here. Okay, well, so let's give her a test and see if it fails or if it passes. Okay, right now it's open, there's nothing connected. So I put one end on the remote side, if I can get it. Okay, the other end in here. Oh, something happened there. So one of the connectors isn't going all the way. Okay, so when you see this split open like that and that the other side's not connected, you know something's wrong with the cable, which is unfortunate. I might try the ends again, but I might just have to cut both ends off and try again. So it looks like there's something going on there with this cable, unfortunately. Normally you wouldn't get this, but sometimes when you're pulling, you just pull on something too hard or whatever, or the end of the cable, something wrong there. So try again. All right, so in situations like that, I'm not messing around. I'm just going to cut both ends off and start again. All right, so I just quickly redid the connector on one end quickly, off camera, and as you can see, it says open. So that's good because I haven't put the other side on yet. So I think it was this side that had an issue. I don't think I slid it in far enough into the connector. So just be aware of that if you're doing that yourself. Yeah, so here you are. It's all showing good now. Every cable passes. Sometimes if you swap the wires around, it'll show 5 and 6 that are miswired. So keep that in mind. So this cable's good now. Here's the other end. So the issue was that I didn't push the wires far enough into the connector. So do keep that in mind when you're doing that yourselves if you don't have CAT6 for CAT6 cable. All right, hope to see you in the next video. Take it easy, everyone.